I want us to play you just a trailer of the movie Dora's Piece while I try and pull me to me and gather myself.
What are you looking at? Never seen a drop-dead gorgeous woman before. Think I'm beautiful, kid?
You are beautiful.
But I like my men a little older. Besides, you can't afford me. I told the cops I'm related to you because I didn't want them to throw you out. But you can't stay here any longer.
They killed my mom.
You running around with their money.
Dora, you want my advice? Say, don't get involved.
I'm already involved.
Well, then I can't protect you.
I didn't come to you for protection.
Dora's Piece.
Yes.
Phew, this is hectic. May welcome my guest. Dr. T, how are you, darling?
I'm good, how are you?
I know you're as traumatized as I am.
Very, very traumatized. Like, wow, these two blew me away.
It's an amazing movie, hey?
Sure. Wow. Like, I know the dynamites, but that was like levels.
These two that Dr. T is talking about? I know you think we're on TV. We're actually not. It looks like it, yeah. Hlubi, Mboya? And Qubeka? You guys, I gotta tell you, before anything else, I gotta tell you guys, you're acting. At some point I stopped and I said to myself, hold on. Is she a druggie? That's too real. And then I looked at you and you were so angry, Khabo, and I thought, have you been through this? You know what I mean? It's deep. It's so deep. How did you pull that out? Before we even get to the topic, how did you pull out the emotions? How do you pull out so much depth, for lack of a better word?
It's so amazing to me that you ladies in the room had such a deep experience, because we shot this almost 2 years ago, and yes, it's relevant because we see it and now it's been, released nationwide. But the fact that you're reacting in this manner means that we really created something and left our souls there. And as actresses, that's what we do. And the way you're defining and describing your experience through watching it is actually making me feel very emotional. Because you realize how much of yourself you actually put. God, I'm getting emotional. Because you actually realize how much of yourself you put there. And having always played really hardcore roles, and I started that as Unandipa, and it wasn't easy. I was 20 years old, and I had to go through it and play through that. And I love the fact that I'm attracted and roles of really getting out of my comfort zone and experiencing something that not a few people experience, not a lot of people experience, but it's shoved onto me with such a demand that it has to be true, and that it has to be real, and that it has to be authentic. And that's draining. And that's...
It's hard.
It's hard, but at the same time that we don't know how else to do it.
This is what you guys do and you do it well.
We have to.
You know what, before we even get into what we want to discuss, let's first start by giving you guys a round of applause. I think they deserve it. I think you guys deserve just that, hey? Everybody, it looks like you actually went to a place where this happens and you're like, okay, you come here, just show us your life. You come here, it's that real. it's that real, and that's nice. Now I want to go back to. Let me first take you through, and I'm talking now to Afropolitans. I want to take you through what the movie is actually about and how we link it up to today's topic, and then you can understand it better. So Dora's piece is based on a character of a sex worker who has to overcome a situation involving gangsters and all of that. So we'll touch on that briefly. We'll go back to that. But the thing about her is that she becomes a sex worker after her teen pregnancy is not handled well by her father, who happens to be a priest. Now, the father essentially causes her to abort, and as we saw in the movie, walks out when he was supposed to be the dad. So at that moment, when he is supposed to be comforter, protector, warmth, beauty, love, he failed to be any of those things. Now, and we talk about this all the time, Dr. T, that the experiences that, take it back there, you'll be surprised at how at a young age somebody goes through something like that, and 20 years later they are still dealing with that.
And I think it speaks to the whole thing of how we look at each other as adults, as people. We all going through something. And I think that's why kindness is such a big thing, because it doesn't matter how bad your day is or what you're in your own space, in your own head are going through, but everybody is fighting a battle.
We all have our closets. We all have our closets, and it's okay to have your closet, know. But the difficulty is having your closet and then having to deal with the next person's closet. And it becomes deep, and this is what Dora had to go through. Now the point is, the father essentially causes her to abort, like I said, and somehow he doesn't deal with it properly. He doesn't show love during the situation. He becomes this dark, towering figure over her, and walks away from the daughter just when she needed him. When she needed him most. And as a father, obviously he's dealing with his own demons. He's obviously dealing with his own problems. And again, it goes back to what you're saying, Dr. T, that, we sometimes tend to think, okay, you're a father and there's nothing else to you. Get over yourself. You're a father. Just be the father. So he probably didn't even know better. He probably just didn't even know better. He just thought, well, this is how you do it. A child is pregnant, you get them to abort. I mean, really, I am a priest. What are people supposed to say? And it's all of that. But it takes you through so many things. Did he fail as a parent? Did he?
Well, the studio is saying no. He did.
He did? There's a
fail.
yes and a no.
Okay. He's got a responsibility. Sorry, I'm just talking about the Ubabu Yuli who played Dora's father. He had a responsibility of being a priest. So this is where I feel as human beings we are so divided. You don't know where to take precedent. What's more important to you, And that's why 20 years later when she's trying to deal with it, she says, you chose to be a priest over being my father. But then when it gets to the point of you deciding, who are you? You cannot fault him for making the decision that he made. He needs to deal with himself for making that decision. Do you know what I mean?
Let's take it back and say, you make a decision. Okay, so you stand up and say, I'm going to be a father. That too is a decision on its own. Okay, now you have this child, and this child, something goes wrong, and you decide, hold on, my work, or you want to call it vocation, whatever you want to call it, over my child, over my family, over my. Do you understand? So, and this is why I again go back and say, did he fail as a father? Because, when I remember somebody asking me, how we all do these emceeing things and you're facilitating a session, and somebody said to me, how do I introduce you? What do you want me to say? What's your biggest, how do they put it? What's your biggest achievement? And I remember thinking, goodness, my biggest achievement is being a mother. But you then realize, okay, this is, yes, my biggest achievement. But crunch time came for him. And the biggest achievement seemed like the smallest at that moment.
Yes. At that moment.
At that moment, yeah.
Yeah, and looking at the setting of the movie, for me, that was so important because I could recognize some of those streets in Joburg. I was in the CBD today, in fact, and I was actually walking some of this, and I'm thinking, you walk these streets, and for us, it's like, you go into town and you're out, and you go back into our other realities. And for some people, that is their everyday life. And that child, I'm just thinking, gosh, what type of a future you're gonna have? You know, his emotions, the psychology, like there's so much he's not dealing with, and it's all happening at the same time. He's not even processing any of the stuff.
At the same time, looking at the boy, would you say the mother who's Connie, who's Mboya, would you say the mother failed the boy? You know, with the decisions that she made.
Of course.
So it's all based on a decision that a human being makes at that time. At that time.
Okay, now let's go back to the teenage pregnancy part. How do you deal with teenage pregnancy? Ladies, any of you gone through that? Okay. How do you deal, when you fell pregnant? You fell pregnant?
Yes, when I was
At
19.
When you were 19?
18 actually.
18?
Yeah.
And your family's reaction?
Oh, my mom was... Actually, she even wanted the same thing that happened to Connie. And then my aunts, grannies, and this is the product of teenage pregnancy. That's my daughter.
Oh, okay. Hello, beautiful.
So it was very difficult for my mother. And I thought she doesn't love me. She never loved me then. And it was so difficult. I can tell you guys, there was a time that she disowned me. Okay, through the pregnancy, I went through alone through the pregnancy, and I had to find myself. And I had to say that, that is the decision that I took. I could have prevented it. I could have taken measures. But the way my mother treated me, by that time, she couldn't even help me with anything.
Question. How's your relationship now with your mom?
My mom passed away. Okay. She's no more, my late mom.
But before she passed away?
But just to fast forward, when she was very hurt, like your father on the movie. Yes. Very, very hurt. She couldn't take it. The society perception, what people are gonna say. You disappointed me because I was staying with my stepdad, Nochal. She went through all these emotions, and I had to pick up myself, go through my matric, pass, go to college, and ultimately I had to come along, play the part. Just because for me, I had to understand her feelings as a mother. That she was very disappointed. Honestly,
the reality of it is that we're gonna try as much as we can as parents to keep our kids away from sex.
Yes.
Again, we're gonna say don't do it, and then comes this friend monate wate. That's all the friend is gonna say.
Yes.
Or you don't know yum things.
Yeah.
And truth be told, you're gonna get there and taste yum things, damn it. You're gonna actually get there and taste yum things. So my question is, stopping, and ideally we want to say to children, don't have sex. Ideally. But we don't live in an ideal world. And they are going to have sex. So how then do we bring it back? How do you deal with it when it happens? I mean, right now there's somebody who's probably dealing with this, who's probably looking at their 15-year-old thinking, what now? Is this the end of you? Is this the end of life? Is this the end?
You know what's happening now? Sorry, there's so many shows now on some channels, I won't mention, about teen pregnancies and all of that. And these are, yes, educating teens about young pregnancies, but they're actually making it seem cool. I'm a teen and I'm pregnant, or pregnant in my teens. There's a name. I think some of you might have seen it. And there's a trend now of these young girls that are falling pregnant at a very young age, and it's made to seem cool simply because they're trying to say it's not wrong. Like if you're pregnant at a young age, you can deal with it. We are dealing with, I'm cool, I'm dealing with it, here's my boy, here's my man. They make it seem like that. And that's why it's become a trend. That's why, as much as we can as parents, we'll say, don't do this or try this, and we give advice and we give talks. But you're not there when that child makes that decision. That's the thing.
And it's the one decision. Hey?
There's an interesting research that came out of Rhodes University by Professor McLeod, and the way that she's sort of framing the whole teen pregnancy thing is to look at it from the language that says, supportable versus unsupportable pregnancy, to try and destigmatize the whole thing of teenage pregnancy. Because once you still have that stigma attached to it, then there aren't any solutions, because we look at it as a problem that needs to be eradicated, as opposed to, here's someone in a bad situation, how do we assist them to make reasonable and safe choices, but also support them should they keep their pregnancy, because a lot of young moms, I suppose, choose to keep the pregnancy and not terminate or whatever, and then they get further judged to say, but why are you even wanting to keep this? And then we sort of try to pretend as if there's no emotion attached to what's happening to your body and all of that. And I think for me it's just so different being a service provider, being one-on-one with the people who find themselves in these situations. And I think they individualize the problems so much, and some of the problems are societal problems. The fact that when you are 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, you can't get contraceptions because the clinic closes at 3 or they chase you away. You know, how much of that is that child's fault? You know, she knows what's right, she knows what she should, but if the system itself is designed
we had a discussion with you about condoms. Is it right to have condoms distributed at school? Is that making them have sex, or is that making them have safe sex? And that's where I was torn into pieces. And you tried to, Dr. Tlaling tried to lay it down for me. And I was just, is there a solution to this? Is there a solution? Do you stop? Do you say kids don't have sex? Do you say have safe sex? Or, do you know what I mean? Do you scare them into...
It's the same old question about, like, blessers. You know, you'll hear older women will be like, but why are these kids sleeping with old men? And I always say to them, but they're sleeping with old men for the same reasons that you were sleeping with old men. What we should be asking is, why is it that in the society we live in, we haven't changed so that young girls don't depend on older men for tuition? I mean, we know we've just been through Fees Must Fall. We don't need to go back there. You know, some kids literally do it once a week for transport money or once a week for books or whatever, you know. So it's hard. It's not just a simple, like, kids have sex and therefore they fall pregnant. There's a whole context and societal reasons why some people are pushed to the, to the periphery and they become marginalized. And once you're in that system, drugs, sex, alcohol, and then it just becomes one unending cycle. And for us to break that, we're going to have to not be like, you bad, you good, you deserve it. It's just going to have to be like a systemic overhaul of how we look at the whole thing of teen pregnancy.
You know, teen pregnancy, the biggest problem of it is that how do I put it? You look at a child and you realize where they're catapulting themselves into. And by so doing, skipping so many other things and so many other stages. So you are now a child, but now you have a child.
Babies having babies.
So now you're a mommy, but you're a child. You know what I mean? And of course, in trying to keep up with, look, having a child is draining when you're an adult.
Imagine when you're a child.
As an adult, it is having a child, you've got to be ready. Even at 35, at 40, you must be ready to have a child. Now, if you're having this child at 15, at 19, what then? Because then we're saying to you, sorry, Nana, sorry, ne? This thinking, and you're going to do, sorry. Nana wants to breastfeed at 11 o'clock at night, thanks. This is where your life ends. Does it end there? Should it end there? What happens? How do we deal with it? How do we go back? Do we then say, it has happened and it's too late for us now to change it, and therefore, let's pick you up and take you back to school? That's for me, solution number one.
I totally agree with you. You know, I think it really is a support structure issue. I think what's done, it's done. When the child has fallen pregnant, and we hope to God that she doesn't want to abort it and go to funny abortion clinics and going that route. But if she keeps it, and I think that's what was missing in Dora's case. As parents, we're not perfect. You know, we make that mistake, but at the end of the day, he had to make the best decision for a family man, especially being a family man of a priest. And I've got friends who had their kids, while they were teenagers. And just as your story, you needed your mother at that time when she wasn't there for you. And I pray and I hope that before she passed, there was kind of some sort of reconciliation, which is what happened with Dora and her father. And I think that is just the piece that you have to find at some point and not let it stretch to when your daughter is the age that she is at now. Do you know what I mean? And it's once again come back to the fact that we can never be perfect parents. And at the end of the day, you want the best for your child.
We need to remember that as much as you need to give support, you actually need to support yourself.
Correct.
So as a parent, you yourself need the support when your child is going through that. I'll give you an example. You wanna turn and say, Dr. T, my child is pregnant. And Dr. T shouldn't say, what happened to you? You failed. Do you understand?
But adding to that support, I feel like also with the teenage pregnancies especially, what about the boy that was part of you being pregnant? So
he gets away scot-free.
Yeah, always. But I'm just saying that kind of support to the little girl is also important. Baby, yes, we made this mistake, we are together. That thing is never discussed. It's always the woman, it's always the little girls. But what about the boys? Because they're part of it too. But what happens if the girl needs to quit school and the boy continues? He needs to quit school with her and stay with her, and they need to work it out. He needs to find a job. I'm just saying.
You know, very interesting, very interesting that I saw. I was actually talking to somebody about, similar things, and we were saying, what happens to the boy? And I mean, this boy just has the opportunity to just go back to their lives, and life goes on. And in fact, how we had that discussion is because a guy that we were sitting with was saying he's got kids, he's not married, and he was saying, I don't want to marry a girl with kids. And I thought, okay, so how are you hoping this is going to work? You go and plant your seed everywhere and then move away and get away from it scot-free, and somebody else must come and have baby mama drama you are not willing to engage in. Do you understand? So it's double standards, I tell you.
And that, for me, I struggle with a lot in terms of also blaming too much, like individuals. I think we honestly have to look at the reasons why certain things are. Because we're never going to sort out the fact that sex immunity, right?
Yeah.
That we can't change.
Hello.
We can lie to kids all the time.
Guys, can we acknowledge that very big thing? Thanks.
Right?
We need to
remember what it's like. It's okay.
No. Those who don't remember will remember for them.
Yeah, well, just saying.
Can we
We'll
just
dedicate.
You know what? For those who don't remember, yum things. Okay. We are here going to dedicate for you and make sure that you're all okay, so that the world is a happy place. Lita, you wanted to say something.
I did. First of all, I want to say thank you to Khabonina and Hlubi for coming through this evening, and thank you for a wonderul movie. And I have a question for the four of you up there, and the question is, for me, watching the movie, what really stood out was the fact that Dora was not impregnated by a blesser. This was somebody her own age. This was somebody she was self-discovering with. As Dr. T has said, sex immunity. So I wonder where we are as a society mentally when we think about the fact that sex is a discovery thing. So you are going to tinker with your own package. She's going to tinker with her own package. You are going to get together and tinker with your packages. Now, if you're a father or you're a mother and you say, this was an inappropriate situation, a rape, my child got taken advantage of, it's one thing. But where do parents, or are parents ever going to come away from a position where they say sex is wrong to sex is a self-discovery thing and all kids will go through it?
That speaks directly to that thing about attitude and how you look at it. If you're looking at it and saying it's wrong, it's not nice, you're gonna get sick,
So
and
you're lying
we
to
say,
the children.
and then we start with the myths on what's gonna happen to girls' bodies. So they grow up having these fears about menstruation, for example. Some girls think because now they have menstruation, it's a sign of something else, and that's a whole other discussion. And I'm with you. We need to stop pathologizing or making problematic what is a natural phenomenon that happens in the body. What we need to be saying to kids is give them information to make informed, empowered choices.
And as you go back to the movie, actually, what happened to the boy?
There we go.
Do you realize that at no point is he featured in terms of Liana, he got destroyed, the love of my life is gone, and. Do you understand? And it takes you back.
He's probably the guy who got a bachelor's in something and making the laws, telling us that young girls, shouldn't have 1, 2, 3. And
that guy.
And that is exactly how society is. That's the balance of patriarchy, and we need to go
He's that
there.
guy who's saying, I won't marry a girl who's got a child.
There we go.
And there's stats that the kids are bonking so much there that they're passing around the HIV virus. So that's the other extreme of, kids really being sexually active. And I think that as responsible adults, and as doctor, you said that we have to find solutions and not perpetuate a problem that puts people into wrongs or rights, or bads or good, or situations that they can never forgive themselves for. So I really do believe in access to condoms to kids. I think they have to have that choice. And if they don't, then we take it to the next level. But that is the reality of the situation. That's what's going on. And we can't shy and hide and push that under the carpet, because then these kind of situations come up. So as much as we don't want to believe that it's happening, it's about giving the kids the tools to be able to, if they're going to manifest in that situation, to be able to still have economic value to our society and not be damaged adults. When you know what I mean? Like Dora was.
That damaged adults is the worst.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
It's the worst.
But it becomes a cycle because the damaged adult will damage the child, and then that child will damage the next. I just
and
wanted
that child
to.
becomes a damaged adult.
There we go.
themselves.
Exactly.
So
But I
and
wanted
so-
to add. I wanted to. What's your name, love? Sorry. Eh? Caesar.
Sina.
Sina.
You've been on the show before.
Yeah, but you know, Sina, what I'm loving now is the fact that you brought your daughter here, and then there's an openness between the two of you. And what's lacking that I feel is pushing also the young kids to being curious about sex and all those things. They don't have an open relationship with their parents. So ubusto to I'm gonna steal. I wanna have sex quickly and all of that. And
No, they don't even have sex.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, right there.
Exactly. Look, we used to play Mama no Baba, guys. Who played Mama no
Yes.
Baba? I mean, guys, Mama no Baba.
All of us.
Come on, girl. You know what I mean? But we were clothed. We were like those decent Mama no Baba. But I mean, Mama no Baba today is on that level.
We still
It's on a
play.
deeper level. But my point is,
Don't you
is that-
still play it?
what? Did you just ask her? Did you just ask?
I'm
On air.
asking-
Guys, we are on air. Sisamoyen.
Yeah, but we play this.
Sisamoyen.
But we play this.
But the point is, sorry, just want to quickly finish this point. So the openness with parents and child. I'm going to make reference again. I'm a huge fan of television. This show called Mom. I don't know if any of you have seen Mom. Like, it's a mother and a daughter, and then the daughter has had a child, and the child has got a child, and but they're so open about it. Oh, baby, now you're pregnant, now your kid. And you're right, it's that cycle. But they open and they talk about it. The mom sees the boyfriend, the mom sees the little boy who's the father of the kid. But it's that openness and it's that talk, which is what I feel we're lacking. I don't know what is you know,
No, it's not a ducky thing.
yeah,
No, it's not a ducky thing.
Yeah,
Trust
no.
me, it's not a
But then to be great, then we I mean, there's so many shows that we are producing right now, especially now with the 90% with the local content.
Yes.
We don't have shows that show that. We don't have shows that show that openness, and we need that. We don't have shows that show romance and love and goodness. It's always with our black productions. It's not enough of that. So something like Mom would be a great show on a black vibe. Let's see that openness and let's see that communication and conversation with mom and dad and little
take
kid
it
having
there.
that.
I want to hear what you've got to say there. Your name.
Okay, my name is Seki. I actually fell pregnant when I was 15 years old and I was in high school. The guy I fell pregnant with, we were in the same high school. What inflicted me to go having sex at a young age is my friend had actually came to me and said, I had actually planned that I want to wait for 18 years old. But I remember my friend was 16 and she came to me and said, I tried it and it was nice. And I had a boyfriend who was also pressurizing me also. Let's try it out, let's do this. And I went and did it. I fell pregnant. It devastated me. I couldn't accept it. But I had a very supportful mom. My dad had actually said to my mom, take this child and take her to go have an abortion. But my mom said, no, I'm not going to take her there. My mom supported me through the way. And I have an 11-year-old and I'm 27 years old, but I love her. And I managed to go through varsity and I finished and everything is going well. Yeah.
And you're a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
And like she said, supported.
And
Do you see the thing
Yes.
about the difference?
Yeah.
And I wanted to speak to the whole black thing, right? And I think because I'll keep going back there, the structure, the reasons why. Black people, black women in general, we wear our mistakes.
Yes.
We don't have access to safe clinics where you can, if you want to have an abortion, have it. I know of lots of white girls from all these fancy high schools in Johannesburg. Okay, they found out they're pregnant. Tomorrow they have their abortion. Monday at school, and everything is normal.
back to normal, and nobody knows.
That's the thing. We need. It is very much a fun, and it's an access thing, and that's why I dedicate my whole life and my activism to making sure that government gives what it should, the very basics of what is should be provided for as per the Constitution and the Health Act.
And
It's
basics,
true.
hey?
Guys, we wear our mistakes, and we don't realize as black people because for so long, apartheid, colonialism, we've been told that we don't don't deserve better. We're not better. So when these mistakes happen, you internalize it as part of your identity of how you were meant to be that way. You were never meant to be great. So when these mistakes happen, we don't look at it and say, but it can't be that black kids alone in the whole world. We just reckless and rascals. It cannot be. But the problem is access. We can't. And I mean, if you look at your location, right? Even in Johannesburg, we still have privileged people who stay in Joburg. Think of the rural schools that people are still learning under mud schools. Okay, now we can't say that child's idea of what fairness is or what a good school is the same as, and then when people make mistakes, just like, well, it's kids, we cannot look at it that way. It's so much deeper than just kids making mistakes. Why are other kids making mistakes but able to regroup and carry on with life and be the best that they can be? And I think that's why I'm saying we shouldn't individualize it too much, that if you fail, it means you are the bad person. We need to look at why is it that 18-year-olds, for example, can't finish school. And another point is that one of my friends just said now, her name is Tanya, that having children is not new. What's new is children raising children. Back in the old days, our moms, and they used to have kids, and our grannies used to, when you used to call your mother Ausi, and your granny
and you
mama.
never knew that
and
this
that's
was
what's
actually...
the thing now is that the pressures of the world now in the economy is such that people can't afford.
You know what? She wants to talk
you know?
to exactly that.
Exactly. My name is Lerato Tabe. I'm the result of that. I was raised by my grandmother. My mother had me when she was very young. So all my life, I don't have a child, but all my life I've always wanted to not have the child. That's how I lived. That was the standard, to say, this is how you grew up. You was raised by your grandmother. Don't have the child so that you can have a better life. And I grew up with that standard to say, no babies, you're going to have a better life if you have no babies. So I'm 26. I still don't have a child. I don't plan on having a partner anytime soon. So, yeah.
How's your mom?
My mom is fine.
How young was she?
Pardon?
How young was your mom?
She was 16, 17.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she was fairly young.
Yes.
Sure, it's a sad one.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Where is that? And we keep saying it. Hey, the community. We used to have Ubuntu. We used to take care of each other and blah 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 blah. And at some of that has merit. Because there was that support. It wasn't the end of the world if you didn't have a child. Exactly. And aunties, you never used to beg an aunties like like we never like it was just that's what we did. And that's why even then those mistakes were not glaring. They were not, the kids weren't suffering as a result, because I think that's another thing is that
what makes it sad is what it has done to her. So that's why it's two things. It's either she's happy with the decision that she's made, because you're saying you're not thinking about having a partner, like Jolment Dolol. Jolment, it's because, but does this go back to because of how you were raised?
To an extent, yes.
Yeah.
And I've seen the environment in which I grew up in.
Yeah.
I grew up in the township, and I saw people having babies, and they were stuck in the township.
Yeah.
And I just said to myself, I don't want that for me.
Yes.
But it grew up with me. So the more you grow and you see other people having different lifestyles and how they live, you kind of like, okay, maybe this is the direction that I should be leaning towards. And you grew up, you graduate, you have a nice life, but at the end of the day, you realize,
Baby, you're such a beautiful woman. I think you do good. At least start with Jolment. Like one date. She's so beautiful and confident.
It's okay.
One
Jolment
date,
does
Nana.
not mean
Yeah.
Jolment
One
does
date,
not
Nana.
mean you break it, because you know what? The other thing is, again, what we were saying, that you go through at that point destroys the future.
Yes.
Because as you grow older, you look back and think, I never want that.
Yes.
And whatever that is, you lead to it. You know what I mean? And you live with it. And you live up. You don't want it. You just don't want to go there. And as such, you end up fighting it at all costs. So extremely so. So you then deny yourself the love and warmth. I want us to take a break quickly, and then we'll come back to talk about this. It is about 22, or just 19 to go, to 8 o'clock. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want us to touch on that as well, because, whether you have the baby or not, whatever the reasons may be for those decisions could actually do damage to your life in future. Let's talk about it when we get back. This is stressful. Sure, I'm feeling stressed, but also a sense of relief. And I'll tell you why the relief. Relief in that we've got ladies here who are living proof that teenage pregnancy is not the end of you. We have ladies here who are proof that teenage pregnancy, even if you abort, is not the end of you. So whatever decision happens at that moment, it's not the end of you. And I think for me, the biggest thing that needs to go out is it cannot be the end of you. Life does not end because you had sex. And you know what, your 16-year-old friend who said to you, it was nice. The 16-year-old friend lied. The first time it's not nice. But after that... No, first time is confusing. I mean, let's be real. First time is kind of like, what? Whoa, you know what I mean? You know?
The 16-year-old saying to the 15-year-olds, no, in fact, it's nice. Go try it. Yeah. And that's why when I speak to parents, I always say, guys, you can't have one sex talk.
It's not one.
It has to be the way you guys relate. It has to be a continuous thing. But I think get more of the kids telling you and defining themselves there.
We can hear you. Okay, we can't hear you very well. All right, let me give you my mic.
Okay, just quickly to recap, the whole 16-year-old saying to the 15-year-old, go try it. For parents, it can't be a once-off sex talk. It has to be a sustained thing where you guys are building that relationship. The communication is always open. So when a 16-year-old says it's nice, she can always come back to mommy and say, oh my gosh, don't tell anybody, but you know my friend Balisa. This is what she said. I mean, that's what I did with my mom. We used to skin about everybody, but it was helping me sort of use it as a litmus test to say, if my mom says this, then I know I can trust her because, you know, she's always told me the truth.
But so also, it has about to be everybody else, and it's never about you.
No, it is.
And no, but what I'm saying is the parent. For some reason, we need to, as parents, see past that. We need to realize that when your child is now skinnering about their friend who's doing 1, 2, and 3, hello, put red flag, Luena, as a mother, as a father, put 1 and 1 together.
Don't just say, well, you can't be with Palisa anymore.
Palisa is bad
That's not the solution. That's not the solution.
Palisa does not become bad influence because what are
Palisa
you doing?
Because now she's giving your child an entryway to sort of, hello, let's break the ice and let's discuss this thing.
Hold on, let me. You know, just another angle of this. Hlubi, for example, you've got an elder sister. Lovely, lovely Guli. We love her to bits, absolutely. But did you have a sex talk with your mom, with her? I know Granny was a big feature in
you
your
know
life.
what? And that's a great question. Thank goodness I had sisters that we could share boyfriends with, that we can talk.
Okay, not in that way.
Well, you know, we don't. But you know, and that was the beauty of. That was my own support structure because I didn't have the birds and the bees. That's what they said. Talk with my mom. You know, we kind of navigated our own way, but I had a great structure of sisterly communication,
and that's nice.
And it's comforting, you know.
Nice.
And I, as I'm looking into the room and I see all these women who've walked through the fire, and we don't know that at face value. You know what I mean? The things that you're carrying. And where you've been and where you're going. And it's about sessions like this that we have to open up those dialogues of emotion and just being open about it. And you realize how many people have actually gone through the same experience.
Hlubi, but if a child gets pregnant and knows her parents are not going to be supportive, what's the outlet outside of that? Where do you go? You know that you already know.
Of course we know.
You know, and no, what I'm saying is it's not even the type of mom who will say, Mtanam, you've really disappointed me, but you know what? We're going to have to pick up the pieces and go. So what do you decide to do? Do you want to have the baby? It's fine if you have the baby, but you know you're going to have to go back to school. So have the baby and go. We'll have to find somebody to take care of the child. Oh, do you understand? So you know now that this is the type of parent who's going to say to you, Wenzeni, and start beating you up before they start thinking about, oh hell, I could be hurting you and the baby. Do you understand? So you already know, Hore, Papa is just, it's over.
I think that's why it's such a downhill spiral, and not even for the woman, but for generations to come, because we don't have the socioeconomic structures that enable a support structure as black females. You know what I mean? And that is emotional. That is physical, that is mental. You just need somebody to conversate and have that conversation with. And those things are lacking. And that's why we carry those scars on our sleeves so much of the time, you know?
Dr. T, where does a girl go?
It's so tough, hey? I see a lot of girls who have unplanned pregnancies and they're really not sure of what is the next step. And it's very, very hard. Because there isn't anything there. very limited, that's available specifically for the black child, for the black woman, for the black girl. And if you are in school, God forbid, then they kick you out of school. So it really takes everybody to, and for me, like a pregnant young woman who's unsupported, for me it's like an emergency. Like I can't, like that's how serious it is, because the psychology, the health implications, a lot of children born of young moms, are low birth weight, premature babies, which means long stays in hospital, even after the birth. So there's like so much that goes wrong. And like for them to start like getting their life back together, it really, really takes a miracle. And we really need to support young moms as opposed to casting them away as if they are a sign of societal ills, because they're really not.
That's the one side of it, Dr. T, where you are looking at moms, at a girl who's decided to have a child. Then there's the girl who actually goes and aborts.
They need support.
And I'm talking about that girl who's lonely about it. So not the girl that says, "Yo, mommy, auntie, sister, let me." Yeah. Either you're forced into it, or you actually wake up one day and say, I can't. I just can't.
They need support too, and access, because having safe procedures is a human right, guys. Having a safe abortion is not a nice to have or a favor. It's not. You deserve health care, and you deserve quality and safe health care. We don't police breasts, we don't police bums, we don't police teeth. People are in a context, they have a life context, and we need to appreciate that and offer the support that we can. And I think, as humans, we need to be kind to each other. We can, by default, we're going to make mistakes. So can we not then condemn you to a life where that one mistake?
But they're often judged. So I deal with a lot of young kids who say to me, my parents don't know this, or my boyfriend doesn't know this, I've had an abortion, but I can't say this to anyone because I'm judged, I am shunned, and it's wrong of me to do this. So that's another issue that a lot of young girls are going through.
But I think it's the way you share. So we need to have a safe space where a child knows that they can go to a clinic and actually get counseled.
Yep. And that the staff at the clinic has been trained, though, because you can't just also take a young 20-year-old who just graduated from nursing college and say, well, you deal with all the young teen moms.
Or that old grandmama who's actually so bitter about life.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And it's, guys, it's so it's personal for me as well. But like it's so important that we as black women rise up and fight for what's right for ourselves.
And the rising is so important. I want to hear what Auside's got to say. Your name?
Dumelang ya buang mona ke Tshepiso Sephaka.
Hello, Tshepiso.
For me, when I fell pregnant in my 20s, with this guy, he listened to me. He was there for me. He supported me. Yes. This was the guy that I could share my dreams with. This was the guy that I could share my fears with. He was there, he listened. This was the guy who brought me close to him, and
this was baby daddy.
Yeah, and this was foreign to me. I grew up in a family where giving hugs is like, what are you doing? Yeah. Do you understand? And you find this guy, he's there for you, he's holding your hand, he's bringing you close to him. That was something that I struggled with. And I found that, okay, maybe this is it.
You see, now taking it back to that warmth that needs to start, it can't start when the child is 18. No. It can't start when the child is much older and then you say, okay, I think Jonong Sabona, let's start being warm. Yeah. You understand? Because now this child is shocked. Hori, what is this? Who is this person trying to love me? What is this? Yeah. What do you want? Yeah. What do you want?
And that's the thing of always talking to your kids, but also valuing your kids just for who they are. A lot of parents want good marks, you must behave well, sit quietly in church, then you deserve love, then you deserve a hug, then you deserve a nice cake or a nice present. We're raising kids to work at it, then they get love back. So when a man brings them whatever, 6-pack of whatever, that for them translates into love, because that's what they've been taught, that for me to get love, I need to earn it and get rewarded. So when someone comes and rewards them, automatically for them it's, oh my gosh, I don't know when I'll have this again, I better just sponge it all up whilst I can. And that's why it's so important for parents, I suppose. Again, show your children love, but it has to be consistent. Yes. And love them unconditionally.
Yes. You know where you chica a child and you still love them.
Yes.
But you chica them anyway. Yes. And then when they go to sleep, you still tuck them in and say, good night, baby, I love you. And you kiss them and you walk out. Because my chikaring you does not mean I love you any less. And it's important that we get there. But abortion it's supposedly something that's supposed to help young people, like teens, or, and I say supposedly, but can someone speak to the loss that comes with it?
We can, but it's also a perceived loss, because if there's someone who, for example,
what does it feel like? That's why I want to go.
Well, you won't know. I mean, what does giving birth feel like if you haven't? You won't.
And I'm asking that because I wanna hear, what it feels like. I wanna ask somebody who's been through it, or the emptiness, that loss that you feel. It's like somebody saying you don't know what it's like to lose a parent until you've lost a parent.
It's what it is. Everyone reacts differently.
Exactly.
And I think we also need to not make women wear their, like how rape victims are always told, you must speak up. But when you get hijacked, you just walk into a police and say, I've been hijacked. They open a docket. But rape victims must speak up and you must stand.
And nobody else.
Okay, so the same way. Like people have.
We've got about 5 minutes to go.
Okay. So just going to what it feels, with being in that room, there's a monitor where you see your baby. And you see them sucking it out. And after that you pass out. But I passed out. I don't know if that was the right way or was it the safe way or but you completely pass out, and when you wake up you're confused. You don't know where you are, So this happened when I was 16. I'm 27. And before I spoke to you, there were times where, at my age now, I still felt like it was yesterday. It still hurt so bad. And because I didn't have anybody to talk to, I didn't know who to go to. I couldn't go back to my mother because you must know she's the one that went and planned it with the baby daddy. So I couldn't go back to her. I couldn't go to my dad. He didn't know.
Oh, that's tough. Lady next to you also wanted to add something. You've got a minute, and then we're going to go back to Tsepiso, and then we need to close.
So my experience is totally different. When I started wanting to jola in high school, my dad was very strict, and he'd never allow boys. So I sat him down. I was like, what's your problem? And then he said, okay, it's not you I don't trust. It's these boys. And then he brought it close to home because I'm his firstborn, and I was born in wedlock, but my brother is my mom's child. So he said to me, no, look at what's happening in the house. See how complicated it is when you have a child out of wedlock. So do yourself a favor. Don't have sex don't have a baby before you get married. And okay, I find myself in an awkward situation right now because I'm 32 and I don't have a child because I'm not married. And I can't go now and say it's a mistake because I've stayed this long without doing it. But it made sense. And the fact that he was a guy and he did sit me down and he did not just say, don't do it. He made me see the point in it.
And you know what's so beautiful is the relationships that daughters have with their fathers. I think is a bond that is just as strong as a mother and a son.
That nobody can break.
So that conversation is sacred. You are so fortunate
to have had that.
Very
true. Very true.
Really, really, you're blessed.
Tsepiso?
After the procedure, you go home, it's done. There is no counseling. There is no, you've lost a baby or you've lost. At that moment, it's, I just want to get home. I just want to be that good girl. There is no, and then later on, do you deal with that internally? You can't even tell your friend because you're afraid of the judgment. You're afraid of, you've done that.
Meanwhile, you're probably not the only one. But somehow you got to be judged. We don't have much time. We've run out of time. We got to go. It's like literally a minute and a half before the end of the show. So thank you. Thank you. Ladies, for being here.
I did think I'm not a parent yet, but as you know, I've been with my man for a while. We're married, and this has been Parenting 101. I know no matter what my child does, I have to love them unconditionally. And I've learned so much. And I, as God is my witness, I've taken something to be a future parent
I'm
from
so
this.
happy.
I have to.
I'm
I
so
have
happy.
to.
I just want to quickly say thank you so much to you ladies for actually coming out here tonight. But I really love your openness and your relation, you're growing the relationship, the mother-daughter relationships, but also opening yourselves up, because I think we beat ourselves up too much. So let's open ourselves up and let's love and let's just be, because I think we're incredibly beautiful. Beautiful
I think
women.
you ladies are just amazing. Thank you very, very much for being here. Ichapele matsoho mos.